When you're on a twin flame journey, one of the most confusing questions you face is when to reach out. The divine feminine often feels this more strongly because she tends to be the one sitting with the emotions, carrying the depth, and holding the energy of connection. There's that constant pull. Should I speak or should I stay silent? Should I take a step forward or just wait? This isn't just about sending a message or starting a conversation. It's about energy, timing, and alignment. If you reach out when the masculine isn't ready, it can backfire and lead to distance. If you hold back when your soul is nudging you to speak, you may delay growth for both of you. So the real question becomes, how do you know when the time is right? How do you recognize that you're being guided to open communication with your masculine? That's what I want to break down today. We'll explore 7 clear signs that show you it's the right moment. I'll go deep into each one because this isn't something to take lightly. Communication in twin flame connections isn't about random talking. It's about moving energy, healing wounds, and building alignment. Let's take this step by step. Number 1, you feel calm and grounded within yourself. The very first sign that it's time to reach out is when you feel steady inside. Not desperate, not restless, not clinging, but calm. When your body and emotions are balanced, that's when your words flow from a place of strength rather than neediness. Many times, the feminine wants to reach out during moments of anxiety. She feels scared that he'll forget her, or she worries the connection is slipping away. If she communicates from that state, the energy often feels heavy, and the masculine picks up on it. He may pull back because the words are loaded with expectation. But when you feel grounded, the energy is different. Your words are lighter, more authentic, and less demanding. You're not reaching out to get a reaction. You're simply expressing truth. That kind of energy doesn't suffocate, it invites. Groundedness shows up in your body. You feel more at ease, not waiting by your phone, not overthinking how he will respond. You're okay whether he replies right away or not at all. That inner stability is the green light that your energy is clear enough to initiate communication. If you're unsure whether you're grounded, check in with yourself. Are you calm right now, or are you secretly hoping his reply will fix how you feel? If you're looking to be fixed, wait. If you're steady on your own and just feel like reaching out as a natural expression, that's the sign it's time. Think of it like watering a plant. If you pour water while the soil is still soaked, you drown it. But if the soil has settled and dried just enough, the water nourishes. Your grounded energy is that balanced soil. Number 2, you no longer feel pulled by fear of rejection. Another powerful sign is when fear of rejection no longer controls you. For the divine feminine, fear often sits in the background whispering, what if he ignores me? What if he rejects me again? What if this makes everything worse? When fear runs the show, communication becomes avoidance or force. Either you don't reach out at all, or you reach out in a way that's guarded, defensive, or testing. Neither of those helps the bond. But there comes a point where you've done enough inner work to see that rejection doesn't define you. You realize his reaction, whether positive, neutral, or distant, doesn't reduce your worth. That freedom is a sign your energy is aligned. When fear isn't leading, you reach out without strings. You're not fishing for validation or approval. You're simply being honest. That's powerful because masculine energy responds best to truth without hidden motives. This doesn't mean you'll never feel nervous before reaching out. It just means the fear doesn't paralyze you or dictate your choices. You trust yourself enough to act, even if the outcome is uncertain. The twin flame journey isn't about eliminating all risks. It's about learning to walk with faith. If you notice that fear of rejection has lost its grip on you, it's a big sign that communication can flow with purity and strength. Number 3, you've released the need to control the outcome. This is one of the hardest lessons for the divine feminine. So often, communication with the masculine is fueled by a hidden desire, wanting him to respond in a specific way, wanting him to open up, wanting him to commit, wanting him to say the words you've been craving. But when your energy carries expectation, the masculine feels it immediately. He may not be able to put it into words, but he senses the pressure. That pressure often makes him retreat because it feels like he's being asked to give what he isn't ready to give. The sign that it's time to open communication is when you've dropped the urge to control the outcome. You're no longer attached to how he responds. If he answers with warmth, beautiful. If he doesn't, you're still at peace. This freedom changes everything. Communication becomes a gift rather than a transaction. You're not writing to get something. You're writing because it feels aligned to share. That openness removes resistance and creates space for him to respond authentically rather than out of guilt or obligation. One way to test yourself is to imagine sending a message and getting no reply. Does the thought make you spiral, or does it feel okay? If you can honestly say you'd be fine, that's a clear sign you're in the right space to reach out. Twin flame communication isn't about forcing results. It's about moving with authenticity and letting the energy take its natural course. Releasing control doesn't weaken you. It strengthens the connection because it makes space for real truth to show up. Number 4, you sense his energy shifting toward openness. Twin flames are deeply connected energetically, so you often feel subtle shifts in your counterpart before anything shows up in the physical. Sometimes you'll feel sudden warmth, peace, or a soft pull toward him that wasn't there before. Other times, you'll notice dreams, synchronicities, or even random thoughts of him that feel different, lighter, more inviting. These are signs that the masculine energy is opening. It may not mean he's fully ready for deep union, but it suggests his guard is lowering. That's the moment where your communication can land more softly. If you've been on this journey for a while, you know the difference between reaching out when his energy is closed versus when it's open. When it's closed, everything feels heavy. Your messages feel ignored, his responses feel cold, or you feel drained afterward. When it's open, you sense flow. Even if his reply is simple, it feels genuine. The feminine has an intuitive gift for sensing these shifts. Trust those nudges. If you're suddenly feeling him in your heart in a warm way, or if synchronicities are ramping up, it may be your soul's way of saying, now is the time to bridge the gap. Remember though, don't confuse longing with sensing. Longing comes from desire. Sensing comes from a calm knowing. If the feeling is steady, peaceful, and unforced, that's usually your green light. Number 5, your intuition nudges you gently, not desperately. One of the clearest signs to reach out is when your intuition speaks in a calm, persistent way. It's not a desperate push. It's not anxiety shouting at you to do something right now. It's a quiet inner voice that says, it's time. Intuition feels different from impulse. Impulse is restless, urgent, almost panicky. Intuition is calm, patient, and grounded. You could ignore it for a while, but it keeps returning gently until you act. For the divine feminine, learning to trust intuition is key, because often fear and longing disguise themselves as guidance. But real intuition feels lighter, clearer, and more neutral. It doesn't scream, it whispers. When your intuition tells you to reach out, it usually comes with a sense of peace. Even before you write, you feel settled. You don't spin out and worry about the outcome. You just know it's the right step in your journey. The best way to test if it's intuition is to give yourself a little space. Wait a day. If the feeling to reach out is still there, not heavy but steady, then it's likely your higher self guiding you. Acting on intuition is one of the most aligned ways the feminine can open communication. It means the timing isn't coming from ego, but from soul guidance. Number 6, you've reached a place of forgiveness. Another major sign is when you feel forgiveness flowing naturally. Twin flame dynamics often involve wounds, misunderstandings, and emotional pain. If you're still carrying anger, resentment, or blame, communication can easily come out as criticism, sarcasm, or hidden judgment. But when you've reached forgiveness, your words soften. You're no longer speaking from a place of hurt. You're speaking from understanding. That's when the masculine feels safe enough to respond. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing bad behavior. It means you've released the grip that the past has on you. You've allowed yourself to heal enough that you don't need him to fix old wounds before you can connect. When forgiveness has settled in, you'll notice you don't replay old arguments in your head as much. You don't feel the urge to make him see how he hurt you. Instead, you feel ready to start fresh, to build communication without dragging old pain into every word. This state of forgiveness is powerful. It's like clearing debris from a river so water can flow again. Communication becomes less about what went wrong and more about what can grow now. If you feel forgiveness naturally rising in you, that's a sure sign it's time to open the channel. Number 7, you're willing to be vulnerable without fear. The final sign is vulnerability. Communication with the masculine isn't about playing games or hiding behind masks. It's about being honest, even if it feels risky. If you find yourself ready to share your truth openly, not to manipulate, but to be real, that's the clearest sign you're ready. Vulnerability means you're not afraid to show your feelings without demanding anything in return. It's saying, "This is me, and I'm okay whether you embrace it or not." This is incredibly magnetic to the masculine because authenticity breaks down walls. When the feminine communicates with openness instead of guardedness, it creates space for him to do the same. But vulnerability only works when you're strong enough inside to handle the outcome. If you're still fragile, vulnerability may turn into self-sabotage. But when you're solid, vulnerability becomes your greatest power. Ask yourself, am I ready to express my heart without expecting him to carry it for me? If the answer is yes, you've reached the point where communication can bring real growth and intimacy. Opening communication with the masculine is not about rushing, chasing, or forcing union. It's about listening to your inner guidance and knowing when the energy between you is ready. The 7 signs: feeling calm and grounded, releasing fear of rejection, letting go of control, sensing his openness, trusting intuition, forgiving the past, and embracing vulnerability are all signals that you're aligned enough to take that step. When you communicate from this place, your words carry clarity and truth. They don't push or pull, they simply flow. And that's what creates space for genuine connection. The twin flame journey is full of waiting, learning, and healing. But when the moment to open communication comes, trust yourself, trust your growth, trust the bond that connects you. Because when you act from alignment rather than fear, communication becomes more than words. It becomes a bridge between souls.